Did you know that 1 in 3 adults don't consume enough protein? But adequate protein intake is crucial for building and maintaining muscle tissue, for supporting the immune system, and stable energy levels. And in this video, I'll introduce you to one of my favorite protein supplements. I'm talking about the Equip Prime Protein, and I'll share with you how Prime Protein is different from most of the other protein powders on the market. We talk about ingredient quality, in particular as far as natural flavors, toxins and heavy metals and processing methods are concerned. We're going to talk about the flavors and the mixability of the product and some of the things you might want to take into consideration. And I'm going to share with you how we use Prime Protein at the Kummer household, specifically with the kids, because they absolutely love it. So let's jump right in and talk about how Prime Protein is different from most of the other protein powders on the market. Now, most protein powders, if you go to Amazon or whatever, you find whey protein, you find plant-based protein. And I'm not a huge fan of plant-based protein because it contains incomplete amino acid profiles. It's not really super helpful, not really super bioavailable. Whey protein is a great choice and it's relatively easy and cheap to manufacture, but I'm a huge fan of beef protein. And so Prime Protein consists of beef protein isolate. And isolate is an indication that it's a very pure form of beef protein. And it's not just, a steak boiled down and made into powder. No. Prime Protein actually contains a combination of muscle, joint, and cartilage tissue. So you get a lot of the, odd parts of the animal, which is excellent because that's not usually something a lot of people consume. But those parts are full of micronutrients and macronutrients, such as collagen, that are important for, skin health, joint health, and building muscle tissue. And what Equip does is they boil down those components, those raw ingredients, including, bones and fleshy bones and joint and cartilage tissue, using low heat, but over extended periods, it boils everything down and then turn it into a powder. It's much like making bone broth at home. You use low heat, but it takes a very long time to do that to preserve the micronutrients in the food. And that's exactly what Equip does as well. So you end up with a very robust amino acid profile, but also with some of the nutrients that you would normally find not, or at least not to the same extent, in regular protein powders such as collagen and, all of the connective tissue that's important for your own tissue, for your own joints, for your own cartilage tissue, to maintain it and to keep it healthy. One of the main differences between Prime Protein and most of the other protein powders on the market really is the way they flavor the product. Now, they have an unflavored version. We talk about that, but the flavors they use are made from distilled vapors of naturally occurring compounds. So in other words, if you get a strawberry flavor, let's say, they use strawberry sludge and they distill it and then use the vapors from those natural ingredients to flavor the product. And that's different to most of the either synthetic flavors that you might get. Like if you get a whey protein with, birthday cake flavor, that's all synthetic crap that you don't want to have in your diet. And most of the time, also the quote-unquote natural flavors are anything but natural. They contain a cocktail of chemicals that might have some sort of natural component in there, but a lot of it is synthetic. And so I really like that Equip goes the extra mile to make truly natural flavors. The other thing I like about the product is that it's third-party tested. So you can be sure it doesn't have any heavy metals, mold, pesticides, etc. That's always important when you consume supplements. It also doesn't include any soy, artificial flavors, flow agents, or other fillers that could potentially upset your gut or be otherwise detrimental to your health. Now, I mentioned before there is an unflavored version, and we talk about flavors and mixability here in a second, that contains only a single ingredient, and that is beef protein isolate, nothing else. Now, the unflavored version is great if you want to mix it into your own smoothie, or if you use it for baking. I sometimes just add it to my raw milk kefir that I make at home or to a glass of raw milk, and it doesn't really taste like anything. It's unflavored. You can feel a little bit of an earthy taste from the beef protein, but that's pretty much it. The kids and my wife really love the flavored versions. We've tried almost all of the flavors, including strawberry and chocolate and vanilla and peanut butter. And if you hear peanut butter now coming out of my mouth, rest assured, I don't encourage you to consume peanuts. I don't consume peanuts. They're legumes. They have anti-nutrients and a lot of stuff that I don't want to consume. But again, the flavor is vapor distilled. It's only the flavor, none of the stuff that's harmful from the peanut. So that's why I like the peanut flavor and I use the peanut flavor. That's actually the one I'm using right now. But all of the flavors taste delicious. The kids love strawberry. That's by far their favorite. My wife really likes the chocolate. And I like to mix it up. The only flavor I have not tried is I think the salted caramel or iced coffee, whatever they have. Those I have not tried, but all of the others taste absolutely delicious. And I just try to, mix it up and have different ones over time so I don't get bored with any single flavor. Now, one thing that's important to point out is as far as the mixability is concerned, Prime Protein does not contain any emulsifiers or flow agents or any other ingredients that could potentially be inflammatory or cause gut issues. So it doesn't mix as well as a product that contains a bunch of synthetic ingredients that enhance mixability, that prevent caking, and enhance flow rate, etc. Prime Protein doesn't have that. So mixing it takes a little bit longer. We typically, or the kids, use a frother, to just, blend it. They make like maybe a little bit of a paste first. They add some raw milk, and the powder. They use the frother to mix everything together and then add the rest of the milk, and it works out perfectly fine. It takes maybe 30 seconds longer to blend it properly than a protein powder that contains a lot of, emulsifiers and stuff that you don't want to have. I typically just add the protein in a shaker. I shake it sometimes even in my jar with raw milk kefir, and I just shake it. Yes, there are some clumps in there. I don't mind. It's all going to end up in my gut anyway. So I don't really care for it. But if you don't want to have any clumping whatsoever, just use a frother and you'll be perfectly fine. In fact, I prefer having a few clumps or a less than perfect mixture over getting some of the ingredients that that are unnecessary at the end of the day because they have no nutritional value. As far as pricing is concerned, that's really the only downside of the product. It's not necessarily inexpensive. If you purchase one pouch, it's just shy of $64. It's $63.99. That's certainly not inexpensive. However, considering the quality of the product and the quality of its ingredients, I think it's absolutely worth it. And with every serving, you get the equivalent protein of 1 ounce of steak. That's a lot. And if you know how much steak is, then, from that perspective, it's very reasonably priced, I want to argue. Now, here is how we use Prime Protein at the Kummer household. The kids and my wife, consume it with raw milk. They absolutely love it, especially the flavored versions, strawberry with the kids and chocolate with the wife, as I've mentioned. I mix it with homemade raw milk kefir. It has a little bit of a tangy taste, and I think it complements the sweetness. Prime Protein uses stevia as a sweetener very well. So I get like this tangy, sweet flavor, and I really love that. And I use it as a post-workout shake. I typically have a shake or a jar of milk or kefir with my first meal, usually after a workout, and I just use it to get some extra protein into me because you cannot possibly overconsume protein. The more protein you consume, especially after a workout, the more your body uses to build muscle tissue. There is no upper limit other than maybe digestive limits, so I try to get as much protein into my body after a workout as I possibly can, and the kids still, use it as a source of nutrients. They only drink water normally. They don't get any juices or whatever, so they really enjoy the raw milk with the sweet taste of the protein. They get some extra protein as well, which is important for their growth. And that's how we use it, and we do that almost every day. Now, to wrap this video up, again, Prime Protein, one of the cleanest, if not the cleanest protein powder on the market. I love that it's beef protein instead of whey protein. Not there is anything wrong with whey, but I very much prefer the protein of muscle meat from ruminant animals. So beef protein isolate is an excellent choice. It doesn't have any of the ingredients, potentially inflammatory ingredients like artificial flavors and flow agents and all of those things that you would find in many other protein powders. So I really like this. It's absolutely delicious, but you can go with the unflavored version if you don't want any stevia and nothing else, just a Prime Protein. Again, it's delicious, it's high quality, it's totally worth the money in my opinion. I hope you liked this video. If you did, give it a thumbs up, subscribe, stick around, and I hope I'll see you in the next video.